message, a critical one for that matter,
That's right.
about their children engaging in something that was shocking even to them. I want you to give us that scenario and what you advise them and what your thoughts are on that.
Thank you. My passion in life is to make our children know before they wish they knew. So parents look at me so that I can be able to tell them what I normally call a hot talk, where I speak very honest, where I speak very openly, and I'm very truthful. So this one morning I wake up and I get a message on WhatsApp. A parent tells me, now, Catherine, what do I do?
Right.
Because my 17-year-old son and my 15-year-old daughter, they watch pornography, then they have been doing sex. And the mother tells me, Catherine, I don't know what to do with the two of them. And I quickly said, you have to do a few things. Number one, you yourself have to go for counseling, because already you're traumatized by the thought and what is happening to your children. Number two, you must take the two of them to the hospital. You must take them for counseling, and then you have to do a pregnancy test for the girl. And the mother said, now, Catherine, what happens if she's pregnant? I said, there's no other option than to grow the baby. So parenting has become very challenging because of other devices that our children are into, and they know more than us. Like pornography is one side that is heavily accessed by children and even adults. And unfortunately, in what you see, what you admire, you tend to imitate. So these 15, 17-year-old children in the house, they have watched all pornography. They are asking, can we do what we saw them do? And children see and children learn. So this long holiday must not go wrong with our children. Parents are shy to speak, but these children know everything. They can Google and want to know what is sex. It is important for us to know that, number one, sex is a creation of God. God tells us who should do sex, and God tells us when to do sex. Children have a full-time job called play. But if we don't structure the kind of games they are doing, they'll go out to do other things, because a holiday out of school is a very exciting time, and children also want to experiment. And it's not just a holiday, it's a long holiday. And now we are in December. And December is also, unfortunately, the peak of negative peer pressure. And nowadays, they don't even call it peer pressure. They call it beer pressure. So parents, you have to be a hot parent. You have to be raw. You have to be nice and very real. Like now, because they are on social media, we cannot deny the fact that they know all what is happening about the many girls that have been killed. We have to be able to act like we are a scarecrow.
You're always hovering around. You're always there.
A scarecrow is supposed to be scaring, but again, even as we scare our children, we must ensure that we are very connected with them. We must be able to have an open conversation where we listen. We are not talking to give instructions and to give rules and tell them do not, do not. We are communicating so that we can be able to listen, and not only listen to what they verbally say, we listen to their feelings. I normally tell parents we need to have eyes that hear. When we were growing up, our parents had eyes that could talk. They could look at me and I know I have not sat properly. These ones, you need to have eyes that will hear the damages they have taken them through. Because again, we are talking about children that are very fragile. And again, children that are also very precious. Children are the only precious, the most precious gift that God has given us. So parents, during this long holiday, we must get to know about our availability. We have to be intentional and deliberate. We must decide who is going to be with our children and how we are going to be with our children. Who and how, why. Actually, we can borrow from the kingdom of the animals, the dove, the bird. That dove, it babysits. The male will babysit and the female will babysit. So you must make sure that we play the role of a parent that is not only parenting, but you are parenting to protect. The challenge is, my children may be parented right, but because we are in a society, the neighbors' children may also be mischievous. So we must make sure that we inform our children, we tell them of the expectations and the requirements we have. We must be able to be generous by these three things. We must give them time. And not only time that is structured. We must have a routine. The reason our children do not misbehave so much in school is because they have a routine schedule. So now that they have come home, we cannot just leave them to meander free, because idleness to a teenager is not free time. Idleness to a teenager is time to do anything, anytime. And it is important for parents, please be open. Tell your children the truth. Like the girl child, anybody telling you that you're sexy, that is not a compliment. Even the boy child, because now we know the people of LGB, any boy should never be told they are beautiful. So as we tell them about not accepting to be told that they are sexy as a compliment, we must also be able to give them affection. We must be able to love them. When we were being parented, we were just hammered. Now we must make sure that we hammer and we harmonize. Even when they have done what is not expected, do not cascade them. Bring them closer. Give them the time, give them the love, and give them attention. This generation is craving for attention. Parents, we must give them attention. As we give them attention, we must tell our teenagers that paying attention to rewarding, paying attention to warning is rewarding. So that at the end of the day, after we have corrected them, after we have told them everything else, as they go out there, they are able to be responsible of themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if you're to diagnose this generation and everything that they have especially been criticized about, especially what they believe in, their morals, it always feels that even diagnosing it is a traumatic experience to parents and guardians for that matter. So you've said something very pertinent, which is attention, which is what we've heard some young people say. They rarely focus on us. You know, we have to figure out our way in life. Or sometimes even if their parents are focusing, they're seeing the struggle of their parents by taking them to school, what they've had to sacrifice. So they feel like they also have to work harder and take care of their parents. So they do not have time to also be children, you know, which is something that has been there, but the pressure of present day society. So what can we exactly say ails this generation? What are we missing here?
There's the level of peer pressure, and not only for teenagers, even to we parents is very high. So what we need to do as parents is come to their space. Like now they're saying we are not giving them attention. Let me bring it as in the 5 C's, where I had said earlier we connect with them. You're so connected such that you're able to feel their emotions. You know, these are the generation that says hand feel. The same way they say my boyfriend hand feel, can we parents be able to feel them? As we connect with them, we must be able to communicate. Tell them the risks, and tell them the sacrifice that yourself you have made for them to go into school, but also tell them, project on them that they have a future. Project on them that they have to be goal-driven, purpose-driven, not to be a people pleaser. As we communicate to them, we also have to be able to eardrop on them and get to know what they're hearing. Like now there's a slogan out there which they tell themselves that mavajo nifara. So that you can be able now to straighten out, and that is why I come with the word of God. Then we have connected, we have communicated, now we can correct. We can correct all the wrong beliefs in themselves, where they believe like, my parent has struggled. Your parent has not struggled, by the way. Your parent has done the right thing. They had to sacrifice themselves for you, because a child is normally given birth And anything that is given birth, there's blood that comes out. The children are the most precious thing we have. I had said that earlier. So parents, for us to be able to correct them, we have to come to their space. We have to be available for them. As we are being available for them, we have to know that they are very vulnerable. Their vulnerability, so that even as we correct them, we are not correcting them to damage them. Then we must please pray that they're going to confine to us, because they are hurting. They have been called mshaba. They have been feeling like we are let down. Like now Christmas is coming, and we might not be able to afford that nice dress, that designer, whatever. We have to sit and communicate with them. We have to be able to plan ahead for our children. And as we plan ahead for our children, it is important for me to tell our parents that children love fun. Therefore, as a parent, we have to voice the concern that fun is not in immorality. There's no thrill in immorality. Unfortunately, parents, we want to sit and imagine that our children are not sexually active. We have to tell them that if you are sexually active, you are a candidate of private part disease. And private part disease should not be kept privately, because if you keep it privately, it will eat you privately and pain-free. So as we tell them that, we must make sure now we come to their space. They are still children. Teenagers are still children. But again, they are feeling like, no, we are adults. So we must make sure that we have some session where we are going to be humorous together with them, where we must do duties with them. As we structure and we give them a schedule of the day, let them not feel like they are our domestic workers. Let them know that we are doing this to shape their destiny, because we want them to be able to see themselves beyond being 23, so that they can know work does not kill anybody, by the way. And then they have to know that life is not just about money. There are values. Unfortunately, this generation, how can I say this now? Okay, 24. They even think that their private part is a working tool, where they have become sexually immoral, trying to make that extra money, going on social media, looking very desperate. And we have had very many girls meet online friends offline, and they have been killed. Remember, I said be a scarecrow. Make sure that you tell your child whatever you have heard K24 talk about, so that this child can see the dramas that are happening in our nation, so they don't become another girl that was killed by having gone out. As I talk about that, and I said earlier that our children should not take the word "you look sexy" as a compliment, even when they are told that they have a big nyash. They think they think it's a compliment. Yeah. It is important for us to be able to tell them how to throw it back to the person who is telling them about a big nyash. I normally tell them, if anybody tells you have a good big nyash, tell them even the zebra has a bigger and a better nyash.
I see.
Yes.
Right. So you said something very important, which is about parents being in denial. And also, some parents seem to not know what to do.
Okay.
They are very traumatized already when they think about what is happening on the ground, or the little they've seen in their children. So they will go to an extent, quote unquote, when it comes to discipline, but they will not go the whole way, just in case they discover what they fear is what is actually happening in their homes, right? Now, can we also break down how parents can come out and confront whatever it is they feel is happening in their homes bravely, and also, like you said, not just strictly, but also to harmonize, know your children, be their friends, but also be firm?
Thank you. The best way is to reparent yourself. Take yourself back to the age of your teenager. And I always love to say, when I was in Form 2, I thought it was hotter than everybody else. When I was in Form...
When you're 16 years old.
Yeah, I thought I was,
Yeah.
And I looked at my mother and I thought, what does this woman know? So that is the same way now you are as a parent. Your children are looking at you and they're wondering, do you know anything, mommy? So the fourth thing that we need to do is touch our children. Touch often. You know, this, they normally say, this, they greet like this.
Yeah.
Greet your son that way. And as you're gottering him, that's the word,
Yeah,
make sure that you have an eye contact.
Yeah.
If your son, you gotter him and he's looking elsewhere, he's hiding something from you. So as you touch him, tell them the expectations you have on them, and tell them the challenges and the consequences you are fearing they could be doing. As we touch them, we also now need to teach them. And as we teach them, let us be a little bit nosy. Let us also spy. Let us not fear spying on our children, because we are spying to protect. We are not spying to expose them. Then also we train. The word train is similar to the train, gari ya moshi. So, parent, what are your children catching you doing? If you're doing the bad things, children see, children learn. So as we talk about all that, the T's, the 4 T's, can we also be nosy? Open the drawers. More so where you keep your clothes for the babies, for the children. If you have a girl child and you draw the drawer out, and of course now you're not going to draw there with a face of a mother, a military face. No, you're being casual with them. We are saying today, can we arrange your room, and tomorrow my room, but you know you're spying for something. In the eventuality you have a teenager and you open the drawers and you find instead of her having her panties, she has boxers. She's telling you, you're smiling, you're laughing. Yeah. She's telling you she's sold out to that LGB, whoever. If you do the same, and actually you find a young girl who her breasts are full, and they are written on the Bible. The Bible says we have a young girl and her breasts are not grown. If you have a girl that hates wearing bras, you can imagine a 16-year-old, they want to look sharp. They want to look nice, even 18, even 19 and 20, they want to look smart. But here they are so casual, wameangusha tu matiti. That girl is telling you something. If you look, we said you spy. If you look at your son, hardly do sons shave. They're called what?
The eyebrows.
Hardly do they shave. But if you're spying and you see your son has shaved number 11, they might be doing it because it looks like it is swag. But there's a message that they could be sending out. The other day, because I'm very casual with the children, I asked one, now you went into Form 1. How is it? And the boy told me, now, madam, I sleep facing up so that I can protect my property. Because we know Sodom is on the increase. Did I say that? So we have to be able to come into a space. Those things that you're fearing, you may not be able to confront them head on. You have to spy to a point, even when you see your daughter or your son has a chain and the pendant is a padlock or a key. It is sending a signal. The padlock is normally opened by a key. But even when you confront and you see the messages written out there, please, please, please do not beat these children. Let me tell you, Remy, if you have not been beating your 6-year-old boy, you cannot beat the 18 or the 17, yule amesakamsaisiwa. They'll look at you and they'll hold the cane against you. So you have to know how to talk more, talk nicely to them, talk to prevent, talk to protect. Because again, I said they are very fragile. This is the generation where we hear even a 7-year-old boy has committed suicide. And the children are imagining that suicide is one of their games, where they normally say it's like, nyo, 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 nimejiwa. Let them know that death is final. Let them know that death, when you take your life, you go. And I want to say that suicide is a horrible, terrible, permanent solution to a temporary problem. Parents, you cannot afford to keep quiet. You cannot afford to not shape and sharpen your children. But you cannot shape and sharpen if you don't have a relationship. Teenagers, they are even shy about, or even ashamed about parents. So that you have to come to a space where you're not just a parent, where you're more of a friend than a parent. You have to come to their space.
You know, you've said something important, and I still would like to stick on the issue or the aspect of parents, because and I told you this before, some teenagers will say, listen, when I look at my parents, there's nothing to emulate. And I've told a couple of our guests who've been here before, and they've spoken about the issue of this generation and morals in society in general. And some of these teenagers are concerned, you know, if we grew up maybe with an absent parent, or a parent who's not been there because maybe they had medical issues, and they're like, some of it is not entirely bad. It's just situations that occur and a parent is not able to be there while the child is growing up. Then you have the parent coming and they want to parent this child, whether the mother or the father, and that is not, you know, possible in the way that they would like. Or some of these parents, like you said, have just not worked on themselves. So they have their own issues, and the children can witness maybe an alcoholic, maybe parents who are not okay with each other, and so many other issues that they think the children are not seeing because they are children. And like you said, they know too much, which is an assumption on the end of the guardians that they maybe not know as much. So what happens when you have kids who have that perspective, and now this is the long holidays, now as well, and they have to deal with the reality of that?
Parents, let's apologize to our children. Children, we are sorry if we have not been there, if we have not been the good role model, if we have not been the smart mother, the smart father that you'd want to have. However, being a normal person, you know what is right and what is wrong. It is true, children will see and children will learn. Remember, talking about teenagers, let's group them in the two, the boarders and the discorers. They are hardly at home with us. So most of the time they are in school. Right. I want to say that all choices have consequences. Yes, your father, your mother is not the right role model. But I'm sure if you open your eyes wider, you will see very, very many role models. Let me tell you, children, you have to be responsible of the choices that you make. Yes, it is true. Actions speak louder than words. But again, we are saying, can you be able to look out somewhere? And the easiest way I can bring it from the word of God is that Timothy chose to emulate Paul because Timothy's father was not Christ following. So you can emulate somebody. But again, as you look for that person that you want to emulate, who I want to bring in as a mentor, because I'm a mentor, please do not go for a mentor that can torment you.
All right, hold on to that point, Catherine. We're taking a short break. We'll be back with more of this conversation. Please stay with us.
This is called pasteurization, one of the critical processes in growing oyster mushrooms.
It is exciting to do mushrooms. In fact, it grows in 24 hours. It doubles in size in 24 hours. It is a very low maintenance crop. So from one bag, we have the potential to get from half a kg to 1.5 kgs of mushrooms. With as little as 30,000, you can start your journey with oyster mushrooms. But now we have farms which we invest up to millions of shillings, and also now economies of scale makes their production cost to come down. It's retailing, I think, from the supermarket is 269, one punnet, which is 200.